This week on Fishette, Jon reveals an overlooked shallow weed pattern for triggering calm water high sky walleye in the wake of a thunderstorm.
There's one. Got him. Tell you what I did here. This is a really tough deal we're dealing with right now. I don't know if I got a walleye or a pike. This is a tough deal that we got going right now. This is high skies, flat calm. And you add on top of that the fact that last night and all the way until mid-morning, we had rain, just a little bit of thunder, not a lot. I mean, it wasn't big thunderstorms, good walleye, perfect walleye. But here's the thing, we're just in one of those tough scenarios where there is so many things that are against us right now. The lack of wind, that doesn't help. Behind a storm, that doesn't help. Everything we got going on right now is really not conducive to going out and catching fish. But there's ways to do it, and that's what we're going to talk about, because ultimately the number one thing you got to do is just understand right at the beginning of the day that this might be one of those you got to grind it out type of deals. And on top of that, maybe even more than that, is, man, more than any other time, you're going to have to talk fish into biting. Walleyes like that one, sooner or later, they're going to eat. I mean, that's just the way it is. They're going to eat. There's no way they're not going to sit there and eat all day long. Sooner or later, they're going to eat. That's a great walleye to start. We're going to chuck him in the live well. I suppose he's 19 inches or so. We'll do a quick double check on him. But it's easy to say, well, they're just not biting, and start running around. Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm not running around. I'm actually sitting on a spot where I am confident that there are fish here. 21 incher, nice fish. Actually, I'm gonna throw him back. He's a little bit bigger than I thought he was, but we'll get him out of here and we'll get plenty of fish throughout the day. But here's what I'm doing. I'm just focusing on where I know some fish are, and they're in the weeds. That fish hit it. Holy smokes. He just railed it and started taking line the other way. We'll see if we got a pike or a walleye here. I think it's one of the coolest things in fishing is when you get on a shallow bite. Oh yeah, good walleye. Get on a shallow bite that other people aren't fishing when it shouldn't work. When conventional wisdom says there's no way it'll work, I think it is so fun when you get on a bite like this. That's an awesome fish right there. One after another, right out of these weeds. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you it's fast and furious, but I'm sitting here with one line, catching them really consistently, just ripping through here, 7 to 8 feet of water. Look at that, another great eye. Perfect fish. That one's going in the live well, he's a keeper. We're gonna chuck him in, and then I'll tell you a little bit about something I think makes a big difference. So we're using that little guy to grab their attention, okay? But speed is another huge thing, and one of the things I'll tell you is that no matter what it is I'm fishing, whether it were a spinner or especially this little guy today, I'm using speed to my advantage to catch more fish. And here's what I'm saying. Right now, the simplest adjustment you can make day in and day out with your line in the water and giving yourself a chance to trigger a strike is to play with your speed. And I do that pretty consistently. I've got that handheld in my hand a lot of the day, and I'll try to find a base speed, okay? And my base speed today has been around 1.3. But then what I do is I alter that periodically. I'll juice it up a little bit. I'll speed up to 1.4, even 1.5, but I'm using speed to my advantage. And what that advantage is the ups and downs and giving that fish either a point of which the speed is so much he says, I've got to chase that down, or maybe it's just slowing down just a little bit at any given moment that makes that fish say, ooh, there's my point to grab it. But I'm always looking for that change in speed that is going to help me get more fish. There he is, right there. Just the way he hit it. That's a better fish. Yup, it's a good fish. Man, who would think it? 7 feet of water, calm, behind some bad weather, and we're coming through here catching fish right on the edge of the weeds. Couple things. One of the things I really like here is there's not a lot of pressure. So one of the things you get is the fish that you get to go past aren't being hit up by 8, 10, 12 different anglers. Most guys are fishing deep water right now because they believe that you gotta be out deep on a calm day, on a hot summer day, and then behind some weather, most guys are gonna be out fishing deep. And we're fishing 7.5, 8.5, really nice walleye. Boy, he's wound up. Let's slow down just a hair. I got him right here at the back of the boat. It's just one of them deals where when you're by yourself, you get a little bit trickier to finish it. Nice fish. Wow. Great walleye. Probably 23, 24 incher. Really nice fish. Let's get this fish unhooked, get him out of here. Awesome fish. That's great. Fish like this, they're living in here. They're living in these weeds, and they're willing to bite on any type of day. Even a day like this, where it's flat and calm. First fish didn't force me to get my pliers out, but this one will. Oh, maybe, yeah, it's not gonna be as bad as I thought. It's just hooked right there in the side of that lip. Let's see if I can just push that through there. Yep, there we go. We'll pop that out, I'll show them to you. We'll talk a little bit more about how we're doing this. Look at that. What an awesome fish. That is just cool. All right, you get out of here, buddy. There she goes. She was in a hurry. Let me tell you something else I'm doing here that's helping me catch these fish. Because it's easy to just throw down whatever your favorite lure is. And I'm really not much of a believer in, number one, favorite lures, and number two, doing the same thing over and over and over. I tend to make a lot of changes throughout not only a week, a month, a season, but a day. Now today, because of the scenario I'm faced with, I'm fishing really aggressive. Look at that. You can see some of the weeds that we're pulling through right there. It's just getting caught on the swivel and on the sinker. So what I'm using is a Lindy Little Guy. Now what's so cool about this little guy is this little floating body up on the front end of this thing, it runs like this, okay? Just like a crankbait up front. But then I've got a crawler back behind it. So I've got the best of both worlds. I've got a crankbait type action that's gonna grab their attention. It's moving water down there. It's making some noise. It's doing a lot of different things to help me. And then on top of that, I've got the live bait down there in the night crawler. There's one. Smashed it. That's one thing that I think is so cool about these types of bites too, is that these fish, when they come railing out of the weeds, I mean, they don't come up and just nip at it. You know, it's, I mean, a good walleye, he'll come railing up and smash it. And that's what this guy did. I mean, he just doubled it over. Let me tell you something, I can see the bottom here. That's how shallow and how clear this water is. And look at this, we're still catching walleyes. Good fish here. We're still catching fish though. You know, some of my best tournament finishes back when I was fishing professional walleye trail, they were when I was fishing these weed-based type bites. And it wasn't because other guys weren't catching them, it's because I didn't have competition. I was so often by myself in fishing for fish that weren't pressured. And that's what we got going today. I mean, is there some stuff going out deep? Sure, I guarantee there is. There's some guys catching some fish out deep. But here's the thing, we're catching fish in shallow, then nobody's fishing. All day long I've been sitting here by myself. And it just, you know, it's something most people wouldn't think of. Let's get this guy unhooked. We'll put him in the live wire. I'll tell you though, for me, if you can be on a bite where you are the only one on it. We're gonna throw this guy in the live well. Great fish to wrap up with. But if you can be on a bite like this, where you're the only one on it, man, I'll tell you, it's not only fun, it's more productive. I mean, like I say, for me back then, it equated some great tournament finishes. But the thing it can do too, on a day like today, is make it so that you can fill that live well up, and you can do it in a scenario where you're not worried about a whole bunch of people around you that you're competing with. There's no competition out here today. I'm just getting them all by myself. Sometimes you just gotta go fishing. And no matter what the weather conditions say to you, trust that sometimes you can still catch fish in these scenarios. Fish are always in the weeds, and if you just put the right types of baits down there and follow a few of these little adjustments, I'll tell you what, you can still catch them.